Good evening. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. This is the Townsend Housing Authority. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Natalie Call.
Courtney Riley.
Chad Sexton Duranian. I know that Laura Schifrin should be on her way, and I do know that Sheila Harrington, Representative Sheila Harrington, if she can make it. The last text that I had from her saying is that she's going to try to be here. So if you would, please, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd also like to thank all our veterans, past and present. Thank you for your service to our country, helping us provide us with the liberties we are with every day.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Here she is.
There she is.
The candy lady.
Chairman's additions, deletions to agenda unforeseen prior to 48 hours of this meeting. I don't have any that I can think of.
Can you add a little section on Metro Bridge?
Metro Bridge.
Yeah, give you an update on that.
Do that, yes. Why don't we do... We can add that before the correspondence.
Sure.
So we could do that, what? Actually, we could do it 3.4. No. 10, 11, 11, 11, 11, 12, 3.13. And we'll just do it after the formal letter for volunteers. Is there anything else now that you can?
It's all right.
No, so glad to see you.
Laura's here.
So we'll go to 1.7 first and let Lori kind of relax a little bit. State representative report. I have actually been, I haven't been present, but I've been listening to some deliberations in regards to the housing choice in Massachusetts. There has been a lot of talk with the governor in regards to the housing crisis, is what they're calling it. I think that we can open up a conversation at some point. I know, Laura, you and I have talked about this before.
Well, I can tell you that the state is attempting to put back in the tax on real estate sales, and that speaks gravely to the increase of cost of housing rather than making it more affordable. You know, and as it is, yeah, we have a shortage, and I meant to bring something else tonight.
The housing choice is, from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of, I mean, there's going to be a lot of debate, and this is going to be, there's going to be a lot of back and forth as far as the legislature is concerned. But from what I'm seeing is that there is, the governor's asking for planning boards and zoning boards to look at their bylaws, to look at, to make sure that their bylaws are not as restrictive as they have been. They've also, they're calling it think out of the box. And I know that we've shared at the planning board that we do need to be a little more creative in what we're doing. I think the thought is that with the planning that needs to be done in this, that the word no not need to be expressed until the whole idea is brought to surface.
And there's been talk about how people feel things are judged before everything's heard.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what I was hearing too. I heard from a couple of other representatives in other districts. I know that we have an active conversation with our representative, Sheila Harrington. She's been very vocal. She's really has allowed me to, she's opened doors for me to be able to have conversations with people I normally wouldn't probably have had the opportunity to. But there is a major concern in regards to the central Massachusetts area. There's also a little concern about Western Mass as well, that there is an awful lot of opportunity, and it seems like we are always the last one to be able to, get any of the help. It's always around the 495 belt. We're past that, so ergo they don't believe Massachusetts extends a little further than that. And I've been trying to have my voice joining in with other voices like Senator Tran and Sheila to say that there's a lot of good things going on in these communities, and we really need to kind of listen to what they're trying to do out there to help them out. So, in having said that, I've also, with a lot of things that we've been doing, I'm really kind of going to make sure that we need to keep a fire to the major projects that are coming up, not only for the Housing Authority, but for other things. Number one is the master plan. The master plan, we still have no idea what's going on with that. I have a housing production plan that we're all going to be discussing later on. That really needs some focus, and without a major piece, which is the master plan, we're not able to really properly put together a housing plan. So I have some ideas on how the Housing Authority can kind of get that moving forward. That's number one. Number two is our project on Dudley Road needs to be, we need to really start getting a good foothold on what we need to do with that. Those are the things that I have been asked to keep my eye on and report to some of the people who are interested in what we're doing out here. We want to keep, the rural feel out here, but we also want to, do what we need to do, A, for affordable housing, but B, just housing in general in Townsend, because we really need to be able to expand what we have right now, because it is getting more expensive, and that's why planning is very, very important. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what I've been kind of responsible for or looking into as far as the state is concerned. We'll jump back to 1.6, and do you have anything to report, Lori, and for you? I know
No,
that you've
Happy
been-
New Year.
Happy New Year. Same to you. I know that there's been a little movement with some things that we've done here since you've been gone. A lot of it has been housekeeping on my end of it, but I'm glad to see you back and warm up your pen, because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff here.
I'm warmed up.
All right. 1.8, volunteer videographer needed. We still are looking for somebody to help us run the equipment here at Town Hall for our meetings. Our meetings is usually once a month. Sometimes we do twice a month. But anybody who is interested, that is a town resident, that would like to help us out with running the video equipment, please fill out a volunteer form. You can find that on the town website. And you can go to the clerk's office, and in the clerk's office there's a link that says volunteer form. That form comes in, it goes to the selectmen, they then bring it down to us, and then we'll be giving you a call. And I'll gladly be available if you go to housing at townsend.ma.us and let me know that you filled out an application. That will expedite the process. Between Jody and myself, we'll get the phone call going, and we'll get it rolling. 2 appointments. As I said, Sheila is going to try to make it, so we're going to keep this open. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to table that, and when she comes, we'll start the discussion over again for Dudley Road. But I'd really like to jump into the work session. 3.1, Townsend Housing Authority, information handling, discuss meeting with the Board of Selectmen. We had this on our first agenda that we had for, was it this year, the very first one in January? No, this was in December.
Yeah, of course.
I have done a little research in regards to some of the things that that we discussed in that. I've also had a conversation with town council in regards to it. When information comes to the town hall, we need to be a little more specific, from what I understand, as to where it's going to go, because we did not have an administrative assistant, and there was a land use coordinator, there wasn't, there wasn't. It seems to me that there may be some information that is not getting to the housing authority like it's supposed to. My thought was to go to the selectmen. The town council said that any information that does come in, it should be going directly to, or at least a copy coming directly to the housing authority. I have had several conversations with several people in regards to that. And I'm being told that in the future the information will be brought to our administrative assistant if she is here in the building, if it's important and it needs our immediate attention. If it's not, it will be, an email will go out to both you and I in the housing mailbox so that we both know where we need to pick up this information if we need to go to a specific area. I also wanted to be able to have a better understanding of the land use coordinator position in regards to how this particular, the housing authority interfaces with the land use office. There was some misunderstandings between some other departments and the housing authority with the land use coordinator. The land use coordinator really should be taking the lead to the chairman of the boards in which the land use office works under, i.e. The planning, the housing authority, the zoning. It's really those chairmen that should be working directly to the land use coordinator. If there is any other committee that's formed, unless it's been deemed necessary. For instance, if we were doing a project and we had elected to have a subcommittee of the Townsend Housing Authority for, I don't know, for a community forum or something, that particular committee should not be interfacing directly with the land use coordinator. They need to be working through the Townsend Housing Authority, and then the chairman of the Housing Authority would then be interfacing with the land use coordinator. Does that make sense? Am I pretty clear on that? Mm-hmm. Okay. It is a misunderstanding that the land use coordinator, because they have a role of, I guess, a supervisory role, that there's a lot of gray area. We don't have a land use coordinator now, and they are being filled, and I'm being very active in keeping my finger on the pulse to make sure that the housing authority, the planning board, and the zoning board are all involved in hiring, that hiring process, because we really should be the ones that, we're going to be working very closely with this individual, so we need to have a little more visibility to that process. We didn't have visibility the last time. I think we did one interview or something like that for the land use office. Do you remember?
No, because the person that was hired before, all we got was a meet and greet, right. And there was only a couple people that even met her right. That night. I was one of them. Mm-hmm. But we've talked about this before, but I missed the beginning of what you said. I'm sorry. And have we got agreement with the selectmen?
Well, it's not a selectman issue, is what I'm saying.
Well, how do we get into this process?
And again, what
planning, zoning, THA,
right?
Conservation,
right? So
all
this is what I'm looking into. How do we get into to be able to do this? In looking into how the information comes down to the housing authority, we need to look at job descriptions. And I looked at the job description of the land use coordinator, and I looked at the job description from the town administrator. And there are some discrepancies in the land use coordinator, because the land use coordinator, there's some functions that are on there that have been assumed by certain people over the years, that it's been put in the land use coordinator's lap. For instance, the housing production plan, there,
Yeah.
it says that. the
Karen
land
used
u-
to do it.
Right.
Yep.
But that's not a function of theirs. We should initiate that and let the land use
Kathy
board.
used to do it. You know, it was, well, basically it was Jeannie, Kathy, Karen.
Correct.
They all, in the years that I've been active, assumed the role of the staff person. And basically, because they were all self-doers is the wrong word, but they would take the
They had the
initiative,
yeah.
to make sure everything got done that needed to get done.
Mhm.
Because elected officials don't come in and do the work.
Right.
You know, they're not supposed to. So,
So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, I agree with all that, but what was happening was that the land use coordinator was kind of dictating the work as opposed to the chairs of the boards being dictating the work, is what I'm saying.
No, not really. That isn't really how it was.
Yes, but that's the way it's supposed to be, is what I'm saying.
No, no. What I
Because the land
meant,
use coordinator is not the one that should be reaching out to other boards or gathering information without checking with the, for instance, if there's a subcommittee, and I'll give you a for instance, we had a joint application with the DLTA grant with the planning board. So it was the Housing Authority and the planning board. All right, but part of the DLTA grant had to do with the master plan committee, which is a subcommittee of the planning board.
right.
The land use coordinator was going directly to that subcommittee, and information was being passed back
That's
and
not
forth.
correct.
That's what I'm
Right.
trying to
That should not have
establish,
happened.
that this needs to, there is no, the information that is housing authority should be the housing authority then passing it on to whoever needs to be passed
Yeah,
on.
I mean, I agree. But in the last 3 years, things have not been what they were before.
Mhm.
And before, if the board met, they had one of those people were there.
Mhm.
And so the board made the decisions, and that person carried it out.
Correct,
A board, the elected board,
correct,
not an appointed subcommittee.
correct.
Okay, so that's how it always was. I have not looked at anyone's job description, so I'm gonna put it that way. So I'm not gonna pick on any one person. I haven't looked at anybody's. So I guess my question would be is where do we go from here in reference to who does job descriptions?
Okay, so that's where I'm at right now, okay?
Oh,
What?
geez, and I got there in 3 minutes.
Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. Because, and again, I'm gonna say this, I'm not here to point fingers and I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to be able to, I'm here because I wanna be able to streamline a lot of things that are happening, especially with our vote and getting the new affordable trust, which we'll talk
Yeah.
about later. There's a lot of work that we need to do, so I wanna make sure that we have all of the working pieces in place so that we can start moving forward on some of the business that we have to move forward to. And it's really nitty gritty and it's really boring, but it's necessary.
How do we get to the job description?
The way that I'm seeing, as far as the way the process is that I will, or the chair should be going to the chairman of the, if it's a process that's outside of what is written, we can request to have a conversation with the chairman, not in formal session, and say, this is what we feel needs to be done and all of that kind of stuff, and have a discussion with whatever party it affects their job description. But isn't there also when a job gets posted,
Mm-hmm.
the job description can be altered at that particular time as well.
Well, we're having, Collins Institute is redoing all of our job descriptions right now.
Correct.
Who is doing that?
Collins.
Collins Institute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Collins Center, maybe.
Yep.
So they came in and interviewed us. They gave us a 17-page questionnaire that everybody filled out.
and when you say everybody, you mean
Everybody in the town. Every single person works. Me, Vicky,
who works in town hall?
water, highway,
Who works for the town.
Who works for the town.
It's gonna get there eventually. Everyone who's staff to the town.
Correct. So we haven't gotten our job descriptions back yet.
Okay,
Updated ones, we'll say.
okay.
Right. And I think with that,
Who approves them?
though,
After Collins gets done?
yeah,
I guess the Board of Selectmen, but with our saying, yes, we
With
agree with what
each
you have.
department?
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's what it is. And I think that's why I need to talk with the chair of whatever board needs to talk with the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and then they in turn will figure out what they need to do.
Is Wayne the chairman
Yes.
now?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, my whole point in all of this is that,
Can I ask, when is that due? What was the timeline for Collins Institute?
To my knowledge, we should have something back to look at by February, but that's the best I have.
that's what I
Okay.
heard too.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to continue with this. My conversation with town council was just a brief one because I want to find out if I'm right or I'm wrong. Because if I'm wrong, then I was going to drop whatever I was doing. But there is, the town council did say that there is a lot of gray area, and because of some people in the past have been doing functions that all of a sudden became their function, but it wasn't really part of the job description. There's been a lot of that within town hall, and we need to be active, or the boards and committees need to be active in this, so that any person, any town employee that affects the board, they need to have input on that.
So, was there any discussion at any point that the boards that had staff, like the Board of Assessors hired Vicky, okay, and there was an interview process that we went through twice, that I've been on the board, maybe 3 times. So, is that something that's gonna be in place? Like, we had, the planning board had input on hiring Beth and the person before. We had a lot of input because I did all the, because Kathy started, but then I finished doing all the follow-up on the references and stuff like that. So it would make sense that an elected board would have input on who the staff person is going to be.
Perhaps after we get the job descriptions, because
Oh, I guess, okay, so I started with, are they going to run those job descriptions by the people who will be hiring that position?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, like I said, I only know what they've told us to this point. Fill out the packet, interview with the gentleman from Collins, and then they are going to give us the job descriptions back for us to look over and say, yes, we agree, or, you didn't include this, or I don't necessarily do that.
Okay.
So I wanted to know how our board can be
How do we
involved in
get the
this.
job description to review?
And I was told that, we need to express that we are interested in being part of this, which I have.
To
That we
who?
are- The process, all right, to the Board of Selectmen,
Okay,
so,
there we go.
yep. So, I wanted to follow up because we put this on hold. There's been, some emails back and forth that, the main reason is that I want to make sure that we have all of this, that any information for the Towns and Housing Authority comes to the Towns and Housing Authority, and there shouldn't be anybody making any decisions or requesting information other than the Housing Authority. And that's what I wanted to make sure that was. So, I know I kind of beat around the bush, but I'm not here to accuse or point figures. I'm just trying to say, I'm getting it on the record to say I have followed up with what I said that I would follow up with. I did have, again, a quick meeting with town council in regards to it, and, you know, that's where I'm going to notify, as long as you guys are on board with it, I'm just gonna have a conversation with the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to let him or her, but him know that I'm interested in being, the THA is interested in being part of the selection for the land use coordinator.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
All right.
And we hope that all the boards will be zoning, conservation, planning, that they will all have a representative involved in the process.
I agree, but apparently the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
you're
I'm
it.
squeaking loud. Okay. 3.2, THA annual report. I did send out the annual report, in the, yep. It's probably gonna need some, I want you guys to give me some input on what it is there.
Mhm.
I didn't wanna go too lengthy on it, but I did wanna make sure I touched upon a lot of the areas that we have. Because we did a lot of work last year, guys, considering the last 4 years previous to that, we were kinda had our feet in the mud because of other situations, but,
Yeah, we got stuck a lot.
yep.
I would just, like to, I know you mentioned it somewhere, but. Yeah, okay, so, didn't we welcome Jody last year? You didn't
Mhm.
start January 1st, you started.
No, she started in March.
No, you didn't start in March.
No, yeah, it was over the summer. So it
Yeah,
would've been
no,
the-
she didn't start in
No,
March.
March is when we
Did the budget.
Did the budget and
And put
got
it in
approved
and blah, blah,
all of
blah,
that,
and
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so I can add that.
I'd like to welcome Jody. We finally got our staff person.
Well, maybe I should add a paragraph just about the budget thing, which I forgot.
Mhm.
Well, you mentioned, we got the warrant, the 35,000 grant.
Yeah.
And I know that we did that in conjunction with, we did a lot of things in conjunction with Sue and Sheila, and town council.
Let me-
Why don't you mention town council's name? You mentioned the other names.
I didn't know if that was proper. That's why I did that. No, I mean
I
his
would
name, or do
love to
do
mention-
the name of the company? I wasn't sure on what the proper.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
why don't you find out, because we've basically dealt with him, but wasn't there a town meeting where there was a female there?
Yeah, that's the labor attorney for them. I can't remember her name, but
Well, then
she's
she has
also
nothing to
doing
do
the
with us.
charter committee. The cable, she's doing the cable portion of it too. She's helped out with HR stuff, and she's helped out with the cable, but I think she's just an associate
Okay, so
of
she's a
Adams.
that's not a department that we would have dealt with.
No,
So the Housing Authority has dealt with Adam Costa,
correct, many times.
and I would like to thank him.
Okay.
And I would also like to mention Hartley.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And you could mention in here that we are looking for someone to do that videographer.
I don't really want to do it in a report,
You don't mind?
no, because it's a report, it's not,
We're seeking.
we continue to see.
We continue to seek.
I can do that.
Year after year after year. But I don't know,
Kind of like, what is that, her name, Ms. Gulch, that rode the bicycle in Wizard of Oz?
Oh, yeah.
Courtney, weren't you gonna look into, were you gonna look into something? Maybe you weren't. I was thinking of school-wise.
We didn't get very far on any architecture schools that wanted to do the kind of feasibility portion if that's
Oh,
what
the
you need.
feasibility thing you were looking at, okay. I just can't believe we can't get anybody out of this high school. That,
I'm gonna keep you on topic here because we'll talk about the
Okay.
videographer
all right.
and other business.
That was all my, suggestions on that.
So, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can, definitely put in Adam, I can put in Hartley. I can put in that we are, trying to seek a videographer. So if you guys want to, I can do the changes, I can send it back out, but I would need a vote to be able to, submit it.
I make a
We need
motion.
to have it by February.
Well, they say first,
Yeah.
but, you know, they'll take it.
Yeah.
Anytime in February, I think they'll take it, basically.
Yeah. I honestly wanna get this off my plate.
Yeah.
for-
When did,
So,
I'd like to make a motion that, we approve the annual 2019 report of the Housing Authority, with the minor changes that were just suggested in the meeting.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded, any discussion?
Jody has all those changes. Right, Jody?
Sure.
You can run it by me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Like sign. Okay, so it passes. So, Jody, I'll work up those changes and send it over.
Okay.
Okay? And that will be one less thing I have to write. 3.3, discuss joint meeting with Planning Board, THA, and MRPC. I have requested a joint meeting with the Planning Board because in the process of writing the 2020 Housing Production Plan, based on our combined DLTA grant application, we've never had a presentation from MRPC about the information that we need to put in the housing production plan. Apparently, there was MRPC did go to the master plan committee in July with a PowerPoint that I got from the land use coordinator, and there was no real follow-up from MRPC. I also have requested to see if we can get some information in regards to anything for the housing plan for the master plan, and I haven't gotten any other information. So I requested to the chairman of the planning board if we could have a conversation together with the housing authority and the planning board in regards to how we're going to be able to get this information. I wanted to be able to also, if we needed to, invite them here to have it televised, so that I feel like we need this information. There's several boards that need this information from from one particular source, and we need to be able to get it, and we haven't been able to.
So you're saying that MRPC has not responded with information
No,
that?
I'm saying that we need to get in touch with MRPC to come to the Townsend Housing Authority to present that information to us as well. I have not contacted them because I want the planning board involved too, because the planning board needs to see that information as well. So, this coming Monday, the planning board has put the housing authority, that there's a public information session for planning jointly with the Townsend Housing Authority for this coming Monday. I know that you're gonna be gone, but the planning board starts at 6 o'clock. We're in a work session, so I would say because there is a public hearing involved. You guys show, if you wanted to come, Courtney, that would be maybe 7:30, 7:45 before we
Okay.
even get to the work session.
Okay.
That gives you enough time,
Yeah.
I hope?
Yeah,
Okay.
that should.
I've also asked Jody to post for that, so if we had a quorum, it's not a problem if we did. So we're all set in that respect as well. There is going to be a couple of issues that we'll probably be discussing. The
Oh, I see. I didn't see it the first time.
okay. On the
I
planning
thought
board?
we had an appointment before or around the hearing, and I didn't go down to work session.
Yeah, no, they put us on in the work session, to be able to talk. And Lori and I happen to be on the planning board, but I've also been, getting some help with, other people from planning. I've also talked to some people in zoning too. I mean, there's a lot that we're trying to put together, so, the more collaboration, the better. But I think in order for us to get the information that we need, let's talk with the planning board and come up with a plan of action on how we move forward. Because there's a survey that's out there that I would like to get some, what the respondents were, what the information was on those. That would dovetail well with the housing forum that we had. That's all information that is necessary for us to be able to put together this housing production plan. So I want to work with the planning board to be able to get this information. Any questions or comments on that?
Yeah, that just made me think of something else.
On the other thing?
On the annual report.
Mhm.
Did you put in there our public forum from October 5th?
Yes.
Oh, so I missed it. I left my glasses at home. I thought
Yeah, I think it's
As
in the
long as
last
it's in there.
paragraph, right?
I don't know.
Yep.
Tell me where it is.
It's in the other business that occurred this year was a collaborative DLTA joint grant approval with the
Oh, the
planning
public
board.
forum.
Yeah. Conducting a community housing
October.
forum. The forum was
Yeah.
necessary for us to collect data, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, just too many words.
And that is that. Right? Okay. 3.4, feasibility study for Dudley Road. We had one respondent.
We did?
One respondent, and it was that they were not interested.
Oh, God.
I think partly it was, there was, because the land use coordinator has left, so I'm not really sure. Jody and I were kind of scrambling on where the information was. She graciously ran around town hall like a chicken today, making sure that it didn't go to another department for us, but we did not get any information.
Like what was mailed out?
Yep. So I have an email that the former land use coordinator sent Jody, and she did copy me on this as well, just so you know. It was a blind copy, but she did copy me on it. That she sent out the attached solicitation to the following as discussed in the 8/8/19 THA meeting, and that was, it went to Wentworth, went to MRPC, went to Boston Architectural Center, UMass Amherst, went to the Conway School, and it went to FXM Associates. FXM Associates was a company that Sheila had referenced in one of our meetings too. And we have not had any response to anything except for the Conway School, which
Well, I don't blame them.
basically said that while we thoroughly appreciate your interest in our design services, we are unable to submit a proposal for this project. As a school, we choose to refrain from replying to RFPs due to any direct competition with professional design and planning firms, which is understandable. but it wasn't really an RFP, it was just a solicitation. So I'm wondering if we should send it back or just clarify that with them,
Sure, can.
if you don't mind. That we are this was a solicitation and not an RFP. My next step would be, at least to my knowledge, is that I would then have to contact the, what's the term called? The person who does all the,
Procurement?
yes, procurement officer, and see what we need to do to move forward, right? Wouldn't that be my next step?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because we would have to then send it out to RFP at that point, because we were trying to avoid that process.
Oh,
So all that work on the timeline is,
oh.
Well, it's still a timeline, just.
yeah,
Shifted.
a little shifted, yeah. But,
So Courtney, you couldn't get anywhere with any schools that might have people who do internships or want to do a
The thi-
paper on this?
The thing is, like, the amount of information we need, though, I don't know how that intern can actually physically
Okay.
do that work.
we
And
need a firm to be.
Okay.
yeah,
I don't-
that's
okay.
the challenge, and not having someone that's accountable for that stuff
Right.
is a challenge, I think, as
Right,
well.
I
I don't
get
know
it.
that we want to get information that
Right.
we can't rely on. I don't want to say that we couldn't rely on something from a student, but I think there's a little more accountability with
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I thought about that.
And I'm kind of surprised that we didn't get anything from MRPC as well.
Mhm. Okay. Maybe I'll have a report in March.
Well, we do have a,
Can you go to the February meeting of MRPC?
is that on a Thursday?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
be
I'll do
gone.
that.
My life's a little
I'll do that.
crazy. And, because
Second?
if you can,
Second Thursday?
first.
So that would be the 6th?
Yeah. And gone for a sick relative that week. Gonna meet family.
7? 7:30?
It's 7. It's 7. I'm gonna let them know that you're going in my stead.
Okay.
And then ask I would ask those questions, so ask those questions.
Okay.
And
Because we have we have a quote. Did I ever send that to you?
yeah, we have a quote
Yeah. We have a quote that
for
was.
35,000.
Right. And that's how 30,000 I think it was. But
Well, that's-
yeah, we raised it 5 just to
Mhm,
make sure that
mhm.
we had enough money.
It does exist.
We had it done. It was a very crazy time in the housing authority at that particular time. We had been working with the land use coordinator. We had a lot of stuff that we had already, maps and everything.
It's in
remember?
an email.
Yeah, and it was, at the time, one of the selectmen called me up and said, I need all your information for the last 2 years. And I said, well, why do you need that information? And they said, I have a meeting with MRPC about the veterans housing, because at the time we were doing the veterans housing. And I said, the information comes with me, I'll be more than glad to go to the meeting. So I went to the meeting at MRPC and I discussed what we were looking for as far as out on Dudley Road, and they came back with a formal quote, and that was $30,000 to do a feasibility study. Technically,
But yet there was no answer from this mailing to them.
correct.
Yeah, so,
So technically, I'm saying that, I'm wondering if we could go back on that. I mean, we could ask them to do the feasibility study because we have a quote for them. Is there a timeline on this that we want to meet? That's the
Find it
question.
in the emails.
Huh?
Find it in the emails and bring it with you to that meeting
The,
in February. Their quote.
their quote? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I have it. I even I made a copy, I think, and I gave it to you, if I remember correctly, in one meeting. Or did I give it to Sheila? I may have given it to Sheila, I can't remember. But I do have it.
You know, they're a familiar entity with the town.
Well, here's my thought. I mean, we got a quote from them, but at the time, the quote was for the veterans housing.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was that?
Couple of years
Last
ago.
year, I thought it was last year, the beginning.
2 years ago, I think, wasn't it?
It was
2018, October. No. Okay.
No, it wasn't before that.
Yeah, it was when Cindy King was chairman of the
Oh.
Board of Selectmen.
February 2018.
'Cause it was
Wait,
in
no,
it was
wait.
in the winter, so.
It was a year ago.
No, it was more than that.
I know, but it was February she got in trouble. February 20.
Well, last year was 19, so it was in 18.
Yeah, it was 18.
I'm just wondering if, I mean, most likely it's been too long, I guess, for, you know, for that quote to be honored.
Mhm.
So we may need to get them to give us a new one.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I, you know, since we are doing a solicitation instead of an RFP, can we take their old quote and say, we are still interested in this, can you give us an updated quote?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why not?
I mean,
Yeah.
they've already done it for us.
Yep.
Right.
I would.
They probably would just have to tweak it. It wouldn't be
Right.
something that would take very long.
Yeah.
Right.
I would.
Except I don't know what their workload is. You know, my November, December wasn't, I haven't been there
Mhm.
to know, and
Mhm.
so that's why I'd like you to go.
Yeah, I can do that. So that is my thought, and what, I don't have, I was looking real quick before I came to the meeting tonight. Do you remember when our deadline was?
Originally, we
Yeah.
backed into it, right?
Yeah.
I think it was just a 4-week thing to receive it after it went out.
No, we just wanted a letter to say that they were interested. I forget how we did it. Didn't we?
Yeah, it was first that they were,
To let us know that they're interested in doing it, and then we allowed more time for them to then submit. Yeah. We did, I mean, Courtney had been through the
Yeah, I
process,
knew there was a
so,
time, yeah, I knew.
yeah, she let us right through and we went through all the
Yeah.
dates.
I definitely wrote it down too.
Did I write it in my calendar?
Do you have a separate one for Housing Authority? Calendar?
Do I? No,
Is this yours?
that's last year.
Oh. Right, it does say 19.
Like my notes are downstairs, I wanna say it was due the 23rd, that you guys would review the initial
Oh.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
And
next
Would
week.
be the,
Oh, you know what? I think I put all the dates in my calendar so
Yeah,
that
yeah.